Please join our YouTube community and subscribe today, as 91% of viewers haven't yet hit that subscribe button. We start off at the South China warehouse where Zhao Honglian, the supervisor, just rolled up to the E-room. Her soldiers had detected a phone signal trace near the New River, but their equipment could only give a rough area to search. Zhu Zhang thinks this might be connected to some shady organization, and the delayed signal was probably due to janky weather messing with the tech. But Zhao is suspicious something feels off, even if she can't put her finger on what. With no other options, she decides to send some scouts to reconnoiter the area first before coming up with a full battle plan. Zhu Zhang wants to loop in their superior Wei Dinghai, but Zhao shuts that down. She doesn't want to share this juicy lead with others, thinking the enemy will be too strong right now. However, Zhu Zhang carefully explains they're dealing with a powerful foe who already took out 2 elite fighters. It's a risky move, but Zhao doesn't care. She says this is just the bottom level of the enemy base. She'll investigate first, and if they turn out to be too tough, she can call for backup then. For this mission, she orders Dong Wu to take point, confident his skills are enough to handle it. But she emphasizes this needs to be kept on the super down low from Wei Dinghai, or they'll lose the element of surprise against the enemy. Meanwhile, at the snow-sexed turf, it's an absolute massacre. The battlefield is painted red with corpses everywhere. Genie Xin narrowly escaped getting iced and is still shook from the enemy's overwhelming power. A crowd of rookie priests gathers around him, worried, but he assures them the head honcho can patch up his arm injury, no sweat. He then orders them to clean up the grisly scene and stash all the bodies in their secret base. But as Genie Xin peels out, the fearless believers suddenly snap out of their trance and get hit with the full force of their injuries, screaming in sheer agony. Nuns come rushing out of the church carrying medical kits, trying to triage the less severely wounded in the crowd. One gravely injured dude suddenly asks if he still has a chance, his voice filled with desperate hope. But the nun just weeps at the horrific scene, not wanting to believe this is real. She approaches the man with a gentle, beautiful gaze and softly says, "It seems you can no longer serve in your human form. Please return to God's kingdom and serve the deity directly." Without giving the guy any chance to respond, she whips out a knife and slashes his throat in one brutal motion. As the life drains from his eyes, the man can only stare at the nun in shock, not comprehending why this is happening to him. He doesn't want to accept that he's about to die. But the nun is totally getting off on it, envying how soon he'll get to serve the Lord apparently. This kind of messed up scene is just standard protocol for their cult, since they've absorbed way too many believers to save with their limited supplies. Instead, they have other plans for the dead. Next to the church is an abandoned building, and they transport all the corpses there. This area is off limits to anyone outside the highest cult ranks, since it holds their most confidential secrets. However, instead of taking the bodies inside, they just leave them piled up behind the door. After the priests quickly leave, green vines suddenly start emerging within the building. Within seconds, they rapidly slither around the corpses. The next moment, the bodies that were right outside the door have vanished into thin air. Then we cut to the interior, and holy hell, it's like a scene ripped straight out of a horror movie. Behind the innocent facade, the cult leader Yuan Kangyi is pure evil, using those human sacrifices as food to cultivate some kind of horrific underground monster. Once this freakish thing blooms, it's going to unleash a bloody storm on the whole city. The building is crawling with green tentacles floating eerily in the air, occasionally snatching people to drain their life force. If anybody was in there, they'd be screaming their head off seeing these green humanoid pods trapped by the mysterious monster, puffing out bursts of sickly red smoke with each feeding. The tentacles then grow these bright red, saliva-inducing apples, enveloping the entire building in a creepy green glow as the priests chant some kind of ritualistic BS from above. Absolutely demented stuff going on here. On the other side, Genie Xin rushes back to the church where the final prayer ceremony is wrapping up. Only 3 innocent little boys remain, completely oblivious to the danger headed their way. Yuan Kangyi flashes them a gentle, disarming smile, but there's an unmistakable malicious glint in her eyes that she quickly masks. These poor believers have no clue about the cult's true sinister nature. The parents are urging their kids to get baptized first, because in their warped minds, Only the baptized ones are seen as true children of the church. So one by one, the children are sent up to the altar. Jong Yixian approaches the first boy and gently rests his hand on the kid's head. Too weak to resist, the boy can only watch helplessly as Zhang pulls out a knife, softly saying, "Don't be afraid. I'll help remove the devil inside you." Those words hit the poor child like a bolt of lightning. He wants to fight back, to scream, to run, but his body refuses to obey, paralyzed by sheer terror. In the blink of an eye, Zhang's knife plunges deep into the boy's stomach in a grisly, life-harvesting strike. For a fleeting moment, the searing pain causes the boy to black out. As he fades into unconsciousness, his mind races, why would this seemingly kind big sister do such an evil thing? But Yuan Candy just calmly places her hand over the gaping wound, emanating a golden light that miraculously staunches the bleeding. It doesn't take long for the boy to regain consciousness, but now he seems different. As if a blank slate, docile and obedient, even when faced with his own parents. The other two children look on in sheer horror at this abrupt, disturbing turn of events, their little bodies trembling uncontrollably. Their sole instinct is to flee this hellish nightmare. But as they make a break for the exit, the cult members swiftly cut off their escape, restraining the petrified kids. The more they struggle and resist, the more it will be seen as proof of demonic possession. Yuan Candy's gentle voice rings out through the church, taking on a spine-chilling tone to the children's ears as she prepares to baptize the next victims. Absolutely bone-chilling stuff, fam.
Hey there! This concludes the explanation up to the latest chapter release. Stay tuned for the next chapter breakdown as soon as it's available.